Hello, my name is Ashley Hart, and the title of my chapel talk is The Intertwinement of Science and Faith. Science and religion are two fundamental forces that drive a person's beliefs and views of the world. The religious view of the world supports the idea of an intelligent creator or designer known as God. In contrast, the scientific viewpoint bases the origin of everything in the universe in facts. Since each of these viewpoint foundations are based on two completely separate notions, many believe they can only be separate. However, science and religion ultimately intertwine because faith fills in the vacancies in scientific theories, while science applies religion with facts so faith does not become pure superstition. The discovery of DNA in the early 1950s has been used to support how different species could relate to others, yet it does not explain how such complex species developed from simple beings known as the primordial soup. Scientist Nick Castelline writes on this topic stating, quote, "Even if we allow that random changes in DNA do result in improvements that are selected, we still have barely a fraction of the naturalistic narrative needed to explain today's diversity of life forms," end quote. The scientific discovery of DNA can only explain parts of the origin of our species, but when it comes to the complex level, scientific theories on how species became so elaborate still lack substantial evidence to describe how many species evolved. Religion can fill in this gap because the religious viewpoint of the origin of species suggests that life developed in such a diverse way because there was a creator who created it to be so. In the first book of the Christian Bible, an unknown author writes, quote, "And God said, 'Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind.' And it was so," end quote. It was God's will for there to be different species with different purposes. God created the diversity of life so each living thing could fulfill a role to maintain a harmonious earth. Science can also help religion, because science can provide a credible basis to support religious viewpoints on the origins of our world. Kenneth Miller, a theologian, writes, quote, "I think that faith and reason are both gifts from God, and if God is real, then faith and reason should complement each other rather than be in conflict. Science is the child of reason. Reason has given us the ability to establish a scientific method to investigate the world around us," end quote. Religion's viewpoints are often built on a foundational basis of what we know from science. Science ultimately helps faith because it gives a factual basis to back up the idea of an intelligent designer. Scientific and theist theories ultimately aid each other because faith fills in the holes that science cannot fully explain, and science gives factual support to religious views. Author Elio Delio writes, quote, "Science needs religion because theism makes more sense of the world and of human experience than science alone. But religion needs science to prevent it from falling into superstition and a worship of false absolutes," end quote. These two perspectives often seem to be complete fighting opposites in modern society, but both perspectives aid in making the other more complete and describing our earth and everything in it. Thank you.